GM Farcaster. It is Friday, a happy Friday, July 19th, and you are here with Nounish Prof and Adrian for 29 minutes of Farcaster news, plus our interview with Will Warren from Matcha. And very excited to have you here. Welcome, Will.
Thank you.
First time here visiting us on a Fridays with Friends. So welcome. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me on.
And we're going to be doing a little bit of our regular news show, and we'll be chiming in on any of these fun topics. And then we're going to be chatting about V2 of the pricing engine for Matcha, which is amazing. We're going to do a little demo. But first, before we do that, let's talk about all the fun things happening in the Farcaster ecosystem. And we have from Dan, first up, just a friendly reminder. We're just going to do this every single show, it looks like, from now on. So friendly reminder, there are no rewards for running Farcaster hubs. YouTube videos are lying to you. You will not get paid now or in the future. There will be no surprise reward. It will only cost you money. So I mean, I feel like we have to keep saying it just in case. Adrian.
Here's why we have to keep saying it. And this is why he needs to. It does not matter what he says. Someone interprets it as like, maybe there's rewards.
So you're saying there's a chance. Like someone right now, I'm sure, is in the chat going, so you're saying there's a chance. There's no chance.
And his name is DeWoofy. And he is literally in our Lonely chat.
Saying
I know DeWoofy though, and I know he is trolling and joking, but what happens is someone makes the joke. I did this the other day. I actually did make a joke. And there is someone out there on the feed who doesn't know you're joking. And so I think we do need a little PSA. No rewards.
This is going to be our daily,
not ever.
Every single time. This is going to be the way we start the show from now on until you all stop doing it. Don't do this. There are no rewards. Moving on, we've got just like light news today, which is kind of nice, but also good things. Warpcast DC emoji picker now has search. So when I'm searching for the flamingo emoji, I can actually find it. So that's a good thing. Very exciting news. It's the little things, Will. It's the little things that we really appreciate. Also from Dan, he's been a little spicy lately. Warpcast should do X. I agree with you. Great. Then why haven't you done it? Because there's everything else to do as well. Problems of founders. I'm sure that Will gets this a lot too, of like requests and things that customers have, and you're trying to make everybody happy, but you have a list that's like a mile long of things that you're also trying to do. So how do you deal with that?
Dark mode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's always like nice quality of life features, things that just naturally make sense to add into the product, but there's just too much. There's way too many things to do, and not enough people to do them. I don't know how you deal with it.
You got to pick and choose. And especially with something like a social platform, there's a ton of things that could be done. And I know that constantly he's getting hit by, well, on X, I can do this, or on Telegram, I can do that. And trying to merge all those ideas in. Few more things. This was some big news. Polymarket now has a frame. And it's exciting. You can now trade on Polymarket in a frame. Should you not live in the US and want to do so, there you go. And I thought this was a really cool to see. Adrian, what were your thoughts on this new Polymarket frame? It's exciting.
I mean, yay for frames for everything. Okay, but here's is nowhere in the US people can use Polymarket?
If you VPN.
Well, that's a very small fraction of people. So is that right? Is that I did not know that. I thought it was
you're blocked
thing,
right? from when you go to try and bet on Polymarket. If you're in the US, it will block you from doing so.
Gotcha. So what's fascinating is we're using Polymarket for prediction markets, and I know there's other ones as well. But I love so just to put things in perspective, the US election market that we're using is and it's, by the way, it's probably still more accurate than the people who are calling people up on like a landline to be like, who are you going to vote for? But just very interesting to know who's behind the bets. not.
There's still a lot of US users. Again, they're using it, with a VPN. Not legal advice, not financial advice, all those things. Be careful. But it is possible. It is possible to do. Your choice. I'm getting roasted in the chat. Break the law, my nounish ethics professor. No, I will not be telling you to break the law. Well, we have a couple chats going. We have one in On Lonely, and then we have our folks who maybe pop in from Twitter or YouTube that we might see in here. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at on other devices. Yeah, so I think it's really interesting, and I did see a couple casts. I was going to say casts on Twitter, tweets that were kind of roasting. Oh, we don't need everything in a frame. I'm like, we think we do. We like things in frames.
I think prediction markets make a lot of sense in frames, especially kind of the overlap between social networks where you kind of have like a public persona and a reputation. People, nuance kind of exits in social networks, and people, typically are incentivized to make like really bold or provocative claims or predictions. Being able to put your money where your mouth is and to show that to the world that, not only do you believe something is going to happen, but you're willing to put skin in the game. I think that makes a lot of sense. And Polymarket's been just absolutely crushing it. They have such a good product.
They do, and they have great product and great marketing. I think they've done a great combo on both of those. A lot of times we were talking earlier, like I think the Matcha marketing team is phenomenal. And we were just talking about just even the NFT alone. When you guys drop something, it's just art. It's not just like branding or marketing pieces. And I think there's some accounts that are elevating to that level that are really jumping in and they're seeing success from it. And I think Polymarket's one of those as well, which is very cool. Very cool to see. And I like seeing the intern on the timeline. So Polymarket intern, well done. Very well done. On
Wednesday with Toady, did you talk about MetaMask asking for feedback on their marketing?
We didn't get to that, but that was really interesting. I think we talked about it a little bit. But the brand accounts and they're finding their voices, and MetaMask asking, how are we doing here? And it was interesting that they were asking for feedback. I think they are very excited that they can say the word MetaMask on Farcaster and not get attacked by bots. So that's always a good thing, which they did earlier this week as well. But I do think that finding your brand voice on Farcaster is different than other platforms. And I think Polymarket's done really well with that. Matcha's done very well with that. There's certain brands that I've seen doing well. MetaMask could take some notes. But they're better.
They're trying.
They're trying.
So got to get a little vulnerable and try. So I'll give them that. Yeah. But
so I have a question for you, because what I've heard. So like, for example, like Linda's told me, like when you go on Warpcast or when you're on Farcaster, really doesn't resonate if you are kind of like advertising or posting with kind of like a corporate voice. And so I've been trying to ask her like what what do I say? Do you have like any tips in mind for how to like enter the Farcaster ecosystem and I don't know, connect with the community?
Absolutely. Adrian, do you want to take this first? And I have my thoughts too.
Yes. So this has been like the theme, Will, that we've talked about like on our show and just being on Farcaster. And the beauty of, I think for a lot of us that were kind of earlier users and we were here chatting when there was no one around. Like, so when no one's around and you just kind of like act normal.
And then
that becomes the norm in Farcaster, which is like, oh, I'm actually just talking like I would if I was at a cocktail party or I was hanging out with my friends, or it's really just kind of human, like authentic. And it's not, I guess the line we use a lot is it's a social network. It's not social media. So you're not coming to kind of push out the media and the message. It's like putting the network out and trying to make relationships and so people share things. It's like authentic. What else would you add, Prof?
I think authenticity is at the core of it. And I think that's why the brands that have done well have leaned in to when they see a meta that's happening or they see a meme that's catching fire, they're jumping into it, but in an authentic way as well. And also just, interacting on the timeline in different channels, even that have nothing to do with what they're doing, and sort of being a part of the community, finding the things that are interesting to you. Like, I could totally see you just, go jam in the esports channel, go talk about what you're doing beyond matcha, because people are going to then be like, oh, and who is this? Oh, cool. And they're still going to learn more about your brand that way by getting to know you as the founder. I think that resonates very well on Farcaster, where it doesn't necessarily happen in other platforms, because there are genuine humans who are, especially there's a huge builder energy, huge founder energy. So there's a lot of people who are just like sharing what they're working on and what they're doing, the challenges they're facing. And, the founders channel is phenomenal for like conversations, but also advice. Also, you have a question, something you're thinking about, throwing it out there, you can get some incredible responses, very thoughtful and genuine. And I think that's really the key, is just, it takes a little bit of comfort and vulnerability to do it. But if you do it, you're just going to get so much out of it. I think Farcaster is really about like, you get back what you put in. And if you spend some time getting to know people, they're just incredible folks who are building really cool stuff. So
that's
why
we
like to hang here. It's
you get
it. It's true.
But that's life. You get out what you put in.
Farcaster advice and life advice. There you go. In the end.
But but I think if you are right, like if you're on Farcaster because of your work, let's say, and you're not, let's say you tend to be one of the 99%, or like not people who aren't the ones who are who are 90% lurkers, 9% kind of repliers, likers. It doesn't mean you need to start kind of like sharing all of your intimate personal details. So you can even approach it. If you're a brand
should you want to share your feet pics, there is a channel for that, but also you don't have to.
By the way, the channel for feet pics is Ted it.
That was a joke.
Ted. Just DM Ted your feet and tell her Adrian told you to do it.
You're gonna pay for
Ted's
that.
in the chat. Sorry, Ted.
You're gonna pay.
But as a brand, even as a brand, it's like you can put, what I just always find is like, just share what you find interesting. I don't know. It's Farcaster is a very like nerdy platform of builders, and we want to know what, like, did you learn something today? Share it with people.
Yeah. I love those. I love it when people post like something they recently read that they thought was interesting, something that they just learned about that they was like, oh, I was surprised I didn't know this.
Oh, I posted about SandKey visualizations because I didn't even know I didn't know the term SandKey until a week ago. And
that's a SandKey.
Yeah, so
that's an artistic representation of a SandKey. We're going to show you another one in a little bit.
Okay.
Speaking of, Miriam loves our backgrounds. So there you go. Thanks, Miriam. So that would be, I think that's our basic general advice. And we've talked with a lot of brands. I remember a certain other brand came on, a pink brand, if you will, that was having challenges finding their voice. They were definitely treating things like Twitter, and it was like we had a little chat. Like, no. This isn't going to work here. You're in the wrong platform. And they made some adjustments. They haven't done as well as the matcha team, but that's okay. But they're getting better. Okay, we got a few more pieces of news, and then we really want to jump into chatting about what this is all about, because it's pretty cool. So this from, I don't know if you know her. Her name's Linda, at Linda from Farcaster, and this is very cool. We have, if you're looking for a job in crypto, we have a job board on Farcaster with new roles posted almost daily, farcaster.xyz/jobs. If you're interested in posting a job, fill out this form or DM me. A great way to reach a Farcaster native audience. And if you're hiring anything in Web3 tech, you'd be crazy not to be posting it on Farcaster and having it posted on Warpcast, because you're going to get incredible responses. And I know some of these have been filled like super fast too from doing this. So finding success already. I forgot to pull the other cast. There was another cast where Crew is at the bottom as sponsoring the frame, the job posting frame. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I was reaching out to Linda about that, because I was like, oh, that's awesome to have that little bonus spot to be able to sell that real estate and take advantage of that. That was cool. But this is, I think, a huge unlock. I love Bountycaster. I think it's been a great tool, and it's been awesome to see it take off on Farcaster first, but also taking off in other platforms as well. So go check that out.
Hey, Will, have you used Bountycaster?
Ooh, good question.
I have, actually. I think the very first cast that I ever posted was the very first Bounty cast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I have used it, and it's pretty crazy what they've been able to achieve. Yeah, I think kind of going back to like what's the purpose of Farcaster, like what makes it special, like kind of an authentic community, people that are genuinely looking for like positive interactions, opportunities to engage with each other. I think Bountycaster does such a great job of kind of helping facilitate those types of interactions. It's been really fun watching the Bountycaster team crush it over the last 6 months.
Incredible. I love the growth that they've had. And by the way, if you want a laugh, go look at Adrian's bounties. I highly recommend it. They are different. They do stand out. They're quite fun. Yeah, highly recommend that for anybody who needs.
Will's going to tell you he's going to Google my bounties right
now. Let's just say one involved a crop top, and another involved a man's onesie, and both were fulfilled successfully and quite amusing on the timeline. So
sounds like those might have fallen under the totally normal bounty category.
I think I added a couple in that one as well. So that tends to be the category we prefer, just for fun. But I love it. I think it's a great tool. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Adrian, before I jump into one more thing?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Don't worry about it. Okay, this from Greg. This is pretty cool. Cool to see. I'm excited to share Good Bread by Greg, a mini on-chain bakery for on-chain summer. How it works: order bread on Base, starts today. Pick up your bread and hang out. I think it was supposed to say bread, and hang out at NYC. Starts this weekend. Let's get this bread. So just wanted to congratulate Greg. I know he's been posting on here for a bit and saying that he was looking at different bakeries and all these different things and kind of sharing his journey to get to this point. And very cool. So congrats, Greg. Looking forward to trying the bread. You're going to have to pick up some bread, and
I will, because you buy with crypto, but you have to pick it up in New York.
I know,
right? So no delivery. Will, you can get some. By the way, say "Good Bread" by Greg 5 times fast.
Good Bread by Greg. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. But if you are in New York, go pick up some bread. I think they're sold out. It was sold out yesterday. I don't know if he has more, but slide in there. This from Optimism. Retro funding 4 results are here. 10 million OP is rewarded to 200 plus projects that deployed contracts on the superchain according to their on-chain impact. Base, Mode Network, Zora, Frax Finance, Meta L2, and OP Mainnet. And it was really fun to see a whole bunch of folks we know in this picture as I zoomed in, including Unlonely, which we are streaming on all of the time. Zora, of course, and I saw Kiwi in there, Gloom was in there, BuilderDAO, quite a few different projects that have a Farcaster connection. So congratulations to everyone on here who received some funding. And this from Jacob at Zora. Zora has received OP retro funding for our contributions to the superchain. This would not have been possible without you, and we will be distributing 300K OP to our community. If you create on Zora, if you collect on Zora, if you build on Zora, you will be rewarded. We are all of the above. So thanks, Jacob. We appreciate that.
And if you remember, Yeah,
Go
when
ahead.
the OP grants came out and you could apply for it, there were a lot of people who were building on OP, but through Zora.
Yeah.
And we're not actually deploying our own contracts, so we were not eligible. And there was a lot of discussion on the timeline about how people felt about that. So thank you, Zora, for sharing the wealth.
Yeah, appreciate that very much. And we're looking forward to that. I'm going to do one last news item, and then we're going to shift gears. But I do want to share this question, and we might dive into this more next week. But it is a question from Brian of Unlonely. If you're a streamer and haven't pressed this button yet, why not? Honest question. And this is actually going to relate a little bit to Moxie as well. And we're trying to get, we're going to have Beta Shop on sometime in the next week or so to talk about Moxie, which is has fan tokens that are going to be launching. So why haven't we pressed the button yet, Adrian? And or fan tokens in general, and meme tokens. Why do you think? I know the answer, but why haven't you pressed the button yet, Adrian?
We haven't. By the way, we've not discussed this, so I don't know what your answer is. I would also just want to ask people in the chat right now too, or just kind of if you're a regular listener to GM Farcaster, do you want us to? That was the shortest answer is it's not something I ever thought our audience wants us to do. And why would I do it? Like going back, why? I don't know.
We got to dive into the why. I think because we have multiple NFT options as well. So we have all of our episodes are NFTs. We can tap into that and reward listeners and things like that way. We have our hyper sub, which are also NFTs. We can tap in and reward that way. And so when I think about fan tokens specifically, or meme coins, a little different, but fan tokens where you're a brand creating a token, it has to, I think, have a really good reason. And it's possible that Moxie will present that reason. I'm not sure. And in Unlonely, there could be reasons. I've thought about it from the perspective of when we are doing competition shows, which we're developing more of, does it make sense to do something then where people can bid, like bet on, okay, we're doing Don't Cook Again. We have two people competing and cooking. Do you want to bet on which one's going to win? That might make sense, but just launching a brand token at this point, I don't know if it makes sense. Will, do you have any thoughts on like different token launches and approaches for brands or artists? I guess would be another thought there.
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, so kind of the core thesis underlying 0x and our team that's building Matcha as well. Like we kind of believe that all forms of value are going to be tokenized on public blockchains. So this is kind of what motivated us to build everything that we have built over the last 8 years, and included in that universe of tokens are things like video game items, airline miles, but also social tokens, and like fandom tokens. I think it's really hard to do this right without screwing up the incentives and kind of potentially, like poisoning the pool. Ultimately, especially if you're like a creator, about having a relationship with your fans that is authentic and organic. And once you start introducing like potential financial incentives and you start attracting, folks that wouldn't necessarily be a part of your community, but now are interested because of, non-organic incentives, I think that's really risky. I think it's really hard to reverse that. And there, as you said, there needs to be a really good reason to do it. And it needs to be something that's lighthearted and kind of comes natural within the existing community. Similarly, and it's kind of the same thing that you see with crypto products that are trying to like subsidize usage, doing things like yield farming and so forth, where you're basically going to have the same thing happen. You're going to attract a bunch of like kind of mercenary users that don't really care about your product and are going to try and squeeze out every bit of value they can and then move on to the next thing. And yeah, that just seems like the worst possible thing you could do as a creator, honestly. But on the other hand, yeah, like I not to say that there isn't a path to doing it right. I just don't know what that path looks like.
I think
Yeah.
that sums it up perfectly. I think we've seen, different attempts to creator tokens as well, things like Rally, and I think there's probably a really good use case. I just don't know that we've seen a really good demonstration of it yet. And I'm really interested to see what Moxie does with their fan tokens. I think that's going to be an interesting experiment on Farcaster where anyone can launch it. But I also have seen a lot of like the trading card things, like so Friend Tech and Scoop and Far Cards and, on and on and on. And some of them are really cool, have some interesting dynamics, have some interesting approaches, but they've all kind of fallen flat. And I think a lot of it comes from exhaustion. And I think you're right, like some of the misaligned incentives become a problem, especially for creators. If you have to continuously if the only thing they care about is number going up, then it becomes a lot of pressure on the creator. And that may not have been the original intent or goal. So it definitely can, I think, not hit the mark. Adrian, thoughts? Are you launching $Adrian or?
I just did while we were talking. Just kidding. So, Will, I love your thesis that you said of like, all things of value will be
Yeah.
tokenized on a public blockchain, because that is kind of the future I also see. And how do we in this space, like, okay, get to that future, but also recognize like how challenging it is today? In my mind too, by the way, I have someone in our Unlonely chat who, when I asked, should we launch a token? And the answer, and I know this is somewhat of a joke, but it's, jokes are only funny if there's truth to it. Only if I can get in early and exit to people who come in later.
Yeah.
And haha, Syed, I know you're funny. But that's what people do. And it'll happen again and again. So I think there's ways of like, if you think of like, all right, we're building a brand. There's brand equity, there's value in a brand. Yes, I would like to, me as like a consumer of a brand, I want to buy into brands. I think that's good. How do you avoid kind of the speculation and trader? Can I, maybe there's ways. Can I?
And how do you avoid Gary Gensler?
Well, I don't know who that is, but
for some of the, I don't know.
We're living in fantasy world, but even just like, how do you hold? Anyway, this is neither here nor there, but the Unlonely tokens, though, I will say, is like, I think there is a use case for like the live stream fun. Like, okay, I'm coming in and I am putting $1 into this arcade because we are here in a synchronous time, whether, like with cast out and cooking shows. But that's not, and maybe this is the answer, the long-winded answer to Brian, which is, the use case for these tokens doesn't really fit what we're doing right now. Like, so we're not really ready to do a creator token, and we haven't really been playing these kind of live stream games. So that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think, and I think there's another, like, for example, when the Nouns Esports team does their matcha cup, or they do their, like beat the pro kind of things, that might be a great use case for an Unlonely token, to have some fun with it and, bet on the outcome, and kind of similar to bracket game, gives you a little bit of skin in the game fun. You can get a little more invested in the content because you have something on the line, similar to like that sports betting and, in general. But I also think we have to be super careful on the legal side right now because there's just too much unknowns. So it gets tricky. You have to kind of, we're all walking weird lines at the moment, but that's always my other concern. The lawyer in me pops out every once in a while. She's not an active lawyer, but she's still there. So every once in a while, she gets a little scared on things like this. But for the most part, I think it's more about like the use case and not putting into just what you said. Well, like I would not want to be so focused on the token and what I'm driving to, try and make that token number go up rather than just creating really good content and a great brand and a media network. So it's trying to figure out what makes sense. But let's move on. We need to talk about matcha and everything you guys have going on because it's amazing. So I want to start with, I'm going to share a couple things, and I'm going to start with the announcement about our, oops, where did I lost it. Hold on. Where did my tab go? About what you all had launched, which I was really excited to see this. It's really very cool. So introducing Matcha on 0x V2, powered by 0x Project's new 0x V2 pricing engine, the best best swap prices, all in, especially in size, genius trade routing, next gen security that keeps funds safe. Let's look under the hood, built for serious on-chain trading. So let's just start at the beginning. What is the new price engine? What does it do? And how is this beneficial to traders, especially those who are trading large volume? We'd love to understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, in the DEX space, it's very competitive, and there's all types of different decentralized exchanges with different designs and ways that they work. And it's a good thing because it leads to competition, which means better pricing for traders. At the same time, it's challenging because it results in fragmentation of liquidity. So if you were to go and try and trade on just one of these decentralized exchanges, yeah, who knows if there's even a liquid market for the token you're looking for? Who knows if you're getting a good price? And so with DEX aggregation, the idea is to plug into all of these hundreds of different DEXs and to weave all that liquidity together in a way that gets you the best average price. And you don't have to look around, you don't have to compare prices, you just save time and money. And so that's what Matcha is.
Which is what everyone's trying to do, save time and money, right? Money, I mean, time is money too, including, having to hunt down a number of different DEXs would be crazy to try and do that. And most people will just go for like whatever's closest and easiest. So this is amazing to see like all the different things. I think let me shift to actually showing how this works, just so that you get an idea of the difference of what the approach is. And so I'm all logged in. Let's just full disclosure, I am not a whale. So the trade that I'm attempting to do for 1,000 ETH would fail. But I do get to see what results in terms of the routes. So if you click on best routes, oops, where'd it go? Did I lose it? Oh no, hold on. Let me reset this.
You got it there.
It didn't work before. It did work for me before. So okay, let me try.
Collapse the trade module. Show less.
Okay. Hold on. Let's try this again. I'll come back to this. Hold on. We'll be back to this in 1 second. I had it all ready to go. I think I did it too soon. I did it too soon.
You can model trades.
Yes, it's really cool. So let me go back to it.
And you can feel like a whale.
You can feel like a whale. Fantastic.
Something that we all want.
Don't we though? Let me pull this up, make sure. There we go. Okay, let me go back to our screen. I did this earlier. See, I did a test run and then messed it up because I did a test run. So this is really cool. It gives you this Sankey diagram that will show you your routes. Oh, now it's telling me I have insufficient ETH balance. Okay.
Oh, you're good. Why. You can click on 5 sources right there. You can
right here. Oh, okay. There it is. There it is. Okay, it just collapsed. Okay. So there's the order route plan. Can you explain like what we're looking at and what this is sort of showing us for our trade?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So what you're seeing here is a way that our pricing engine is converting this massive amount of Ether into the DAI stablecoin. And the way it's doing it is by splitting up this big old order into smaller pieces, and it's sending them to different DEXs, different liquidity pools, and it's doing routing in 2 different ways. So there's this concept of like multiplexing. So taking your order and taking different pieces of it and sending it into different pools in parallel. It's also doing something called multi-hopping. So it is able to jump through intermediate pools in order to get you the best possible price. And what's crazy here is like, behind the scenes, we're scanning hundreds and hundreds of different liquidity pools in milliseconds, and able to kind of scan and find the best possible way to route through all of them and get you the output. And so you can see like there's a number of AMMs, so things like Uniswap and Dodo and Maker has kind of this special AMM for stablecoins that's really efficient. And we're combining these public sources of liquidity with private market maker liquidity through it's called an RFQ system. And so,
okay, that's what the RFQ was. Okay, that's great to know. I was curious what that was.
yeah, so with the RFQ system, we're requesting a quote from professional market makers, and they are trying to compete to get you a better price than what's available if you were to just go on chain. And so we take all of this together and kind of weave it together and get you the best possible price.
And this is updating in real time, like as we're sitting here, it keeps updating that because it's finding better routes and then it's giving an update in terms of that route. Is that what's going on there? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So as time goes on, people are interacting with these different dexes, and the market price, is going up or down depending upon whether people are buying or selling. And so what we're doing is we're constantly scanning all of these different liquidity pools and updating the most efficient route as the market moves and changes.
Amazing. That's really, really cool. Okay, so
well, you can't see, but the crowd loves this.
Oh, yeah, good.
Unless you're in the unlonely chat, but they, people are impressed.
So this is now available on Matcha. So that's live, as you can see. And it's going to be coming to other platforms as well, or other options for using this. So what's that rollout plan look like?
Yeah. So right now, Matcha is the only place only consumer product where you can go and take advantage of this powerful new routing engine. Matcha is powered by our developer APIs. And so our team is the 0x team. We have this consumer product Matcha. We also have these powerful APIs that are what's powering this swap and this pricing engine. If you have used any sort of swapping functionality in a wallet, you've probably used 0x without realizing it. So our 0x trading APIs power, like MetaMask and Coinbase Wallet and Robinhood and Rabby and many others, as well as like some of the kind of popular portfolio management apps out there, like Zerion and Zapper and so forth. So yeah, like the kind of the APIs that kind of are underlying swap functionality in a lot of Web3 are based on 0x. And as we roll out the new pricing engine and V2 over the next couple of months, you'll kind of automatically be benefiting from some of this and your other swapping experiences.
Oh, that's great. So it's sort of, so it's going to be working in the background in a whole bunch of different places, which is fantastic. So in terms of, there's some terms in here that maybe you can just kind of explain a little bit better. Multi-hop and I think it was multiverse. No. Hold on. Not multiverse. Multiplex and multi-hop. So multiplex splitting into multiple liquidity sources, and then multi-hop using that intermediary. So that's what we're seeing in this Sankey diagram here, is those different aspects, correct?
Right. And so with V2, we're able to do this in a way more sophisticated way. So there really aren't any kind of technical constraints on how many different multiplexes and multi-hops are possible. And what this allows us to do is to use liquidity that's available out there way more efficiently than what was previously possible. And as a result, you're going to get the best prices with Matcha and with 0x. These prices are kind of combining the liquidity from kind of your, maybe your favorite dexes out there, like maybe you're a Uniswap user. Yeah, we take the best of Uniswap and combine it with, other sources of liquidity. And if you're a whale trader, so one of those rare people that are moving large size, yeah, Matcha with this new price engine is completely blowing, everything else out of the water. You're going to get the very best pricing. We're, we're beating or tying 1inch, which is kind of one of the big brand names out there for DEX aggregation. Also a great product. But yeah, you're going to get better pricing with Matcha around 90% of the time across all trade sizes. And so, yeah, I mean, we're really proud of this, both as like a technical achievement. Our team's been working so hard on this, been like 9 months of R&D. And then also just from like a product standpoint, like taking this complex and advanced piece of technology and surfacing it in a way that, well, I don't know, all of us are, constantly looking at these Sankey diagrams and like nerding out over them and like, oh my God, it's so cool. So yeah, we kind of hope other people, can, appreciate them the same way.
Oh, definitely. And there's also some security upgrades or some security features. Like I know there was something with allowances. Can you explain a little bit about that and any other sort of security factors that are in this upgrade that people might have an interest in?
Yes. So this new tech stack, this new architecture that we have migrated to is much more secure. It's a much better for like user security hygiene than with V1 and with most of the other DeFi products out there today. This is just a better model, and the reason is because instead of requiring users to kind of unlock access to their tokens to without any sort of limitations, just kind of providing an unlimited amount of access, which can lead to massive scale hacks that kind of systemically impact thousands of users, or however many users were interacting with that smart contract, all of them potentially getting impacted. We are moving to a new approach where it's using something called permit to. And what this means is that you just set a one-time allowance for every single individual trade, and you never have any sort of security overhang where maybe you used a product like one time a couple of years ago, it gets hacked a couple of years later, and you just lost a ton of tokens, and you didn't even remember that you had used that smart contract way long ago. We've completely eliminated any of that kind of systemic risk. So you're never exposing your wallet to feature hacks, which is a major problem and has impacted tons of people and historically.
Yeah, I remember that being a huge thing within the NFT space a couple of years ago on OpenSea, with just people had, okay, I wanted to sell this ape or whatever, put it up, did the allowance, and then decided not to sell, took it down, but that allowance essentially was still sitting there. And then later on, somebody could pull it for a very low amount and snipe it. So, and I've seen that in other areas as well, same kind of thing. And I know when I have to do an allowance on, when it says, approve this allowance, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to change. Well, I'm like, why are you asking me for the max? Like, I always have that question because it happens a lot where it'll be like, it immediately like defaults to everything you have in your wallet. And if you're not thinking about it, you're moving too fast, you're like just not even realizing that's what's going on, that definitely is leaving you open. So to me, that particular feature I thought was really thoughtful and important for sure, especially for folks who are moving huge amounts. Like, forget it. For serious traders, like, you definitely need that protection, because that's going to go well down the road. So I love this. And by the way, so this is still showing in the background while I'm talking with you, and it keeps moving and it keeps adjusting and changing. And it's really pretty cool to see that it's constantly like updating to find better routes. And I think that's really neat. So great work with this. Very cool.
Thank you.
What else? Yeah. What else is in this upgrade that we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
Yeah. So another part of this upgrade is I talked about how we use this request for quote, or RFQ system to bring professional market makers into the mix and allow them to compete, to provide you with better pricing. So this is a new next generation RFQ system. Our team, 0x team, we've been building kind of these similar types of systems for almost 8 years now, and we I think this is like our third or fourth generation RFQ system. It's really advanced. It's super gas efficient, and this is going to allow you to get there's a couple of really nice things about RFQ systems. Like, first of all, just like the price competitiveness. These market makers are competing against on-chain dexes to get you a better price. But another really nice thing about RFQ liquidity is that you don't have to worry about getting a different price than what was displayed to you in the UI. And so this is called slippage, and slippage is a massive problem in the DEX space, and I think it it goes under. It isn't noticed as much as it should be. Where you go to the product, it kind of says this is the price you're going to get. You click confirm, and then you end up with less tokens in your wallet than what was originally anticipated. And this slippage, has resulted in like over $1 billion in value being extracted from traders over the last 4 or 5 years. And with RFQ, you get the price you see. It is impossible for you to get anything other than the price that is quoted to you. And so it's something that is protecting you from MEV, and it provides like a more reliable.
Huge. Yeah. That's really huge, because I mean, I just am thinking back to like last summer, and there was all these coins and the Pepe run and all that, and you would go to sell and you'd have a huge amount of people trying to interact at the same time. The slippage, you like, what is the point? I'm like, I'm not going to sell right now because I'm going to end up losing 40% or something insane in the slippage. So it was just like over and over again, you'd be stuck in at these moments of time when you're trying to make this very quick trade and you couldn't do anything. So even from like a minnow's perspective, not a whale's, that slippage, can take a large percentage of any kind of profit that you may have made. So that's huge. That's really huge.
Does it ever work the other way around, where you get
you get extra?
Where you settle on a price, and then when the trade happens, you get more, like a better price?
That's a great question. So that is called positive slippage, and it does happen rarely. Actually,
that has never happened to me.
our team's done. So our team has. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of talk about MEV out there. It's a really popular kind of thing to talk about in Ethereum circles, and a lot of it's pretty kind of theoretical or ivory tower. But like our team has done some of the most empirical research on MEV extraction, and what do you end up getting? Negative slippage or positive slippage, what can you expect? And what we found is that you're almost never going to get positive slippage. You're never going to get more than you were quoted, very, very rarely. And the reason is because all of the cards are stacked against you. It's not something where there's kind of random trade collisions, and the price you get kind of clusters around the quoted price and kind of like a smooth distribution. No, you're gonna get wrecked by arbitrage bots and sandwich attacks. You're gonna get wrecked almost every single time.
Wrecked by Jared. Jared
exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so positive slippage, it happens rarely, but most of the time you're going to get basically the worst acceptable price that you have provided in your quote.
Right. And I guess in traditional finance, you have the market makers. It's a handshake. So it's we're going to talk. We're going to agree upon a price. I can let 5 minutes go by, and it's still that price because it's people. And because now when we're doing because everything is in code, there's no guarantee that the price I see is actually the price that's happening upon execution. And you're able to guarantee a price
with RFQ. Yes.
And that's a request for quote. And are you mimiking traditional deal making or market making, or is there slippage but someone else is paying for it?
Yeah, so there's no slippage. It's basically So this is kind of the core concept of 0x protocol, which we started we started developing like in 2016, which is one party essentially creates an order saying, I want to trade this token for this one at this exact price. And they cryptographically sign it. And that guarantees that it can only be executed at the exact price that was stated. They can send that cryptographically signed message to a counterparty who can then, choose to execute it or not. And if they do execute it, that trade is going to settle at exactly the price that was agreed upon. And the reason you can do this is because these orders are unique and they are peer-to-peer, whereas automated market makers like Uniswap and so forth, these are just kind of publicly accessible pools, and as people trade with them, it pushes the price up and down, and it's really hard to guarantee that you're going to your trade is going to hit that pool at exactly the price that you saw in the UI. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So Euros are mimicking kind of the way traditional trading's happening, which is we're going to agree upon something, but this is also now in contractual, and then gets executed.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Interesting. And then I imagine there's timeouts on and I don't even want to go there. But I imagine the way this works kind of programmatically is there's agreed upon, the contracts agree upon a price, and then there's a expiration date on that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very
All things will be tokenized.
That makes me think, could you do the same for traditional stock or commodities using something like this? I have no idea. I honestly have no idea, but I know there's tons of different engines out there that do something similar in TradFi, but it seems like this would be, I don't know, this approach would seem more accurate and might have some benefits even for TradFi, but I don't know.
Yeah. So there are ways of doing these kind of peer-to-peer request for quote type trades, but the problem with traditional finance is that there's all these layers and layers of middlemen in between. So you don't actually have your token sitting in your wallet and have control of them. Your shares are sitting in some database and some company's back end, and there's a clearinghouse and there's an exchange and all these people involved. And you essentially just cut them out completely with decentralized exchange.
Cue the Bitwise ad here. Those ads have been phenomenal. Really, really interesting. Anything that, before we jump into questions, we had some questions that we asked for questions on Warpcast, and we have a few to throw at you. Anything that we didn't cover yet that you wanted to make sure that we chatted about, either in terms of features of the new pricing engine or something that you have coming that we want to promo or at least mention before we go into that?
Yeah, I think just one really exciting feature of Matcha that is worth just highlighting is that it is able to support every single token that exists on the networks that we support. So if you are, say, for example, you're a creator and you decide to launch a token to your community, within 15 minutes of creating that token and deploying it to the blockchain, Matcha is going to index that token, pick it up, and it will be searchable on Matcha. And you'll be able to, anyone in the world will be able to go and trade that token at the very best price. And so Matcha isn't just a tool for trading kind of the most popular blue chip tokens. It's, you can trade over I think at this point it's over 7 million tokens, anything that exists out there. And it's the place to go to find any token on the blockchain.
So $Adrian will be able to be.
Stop.
Just kidding. There is no $Adrian. Please don't go create it. But it could be. It could be traded if it existed. It could be traded on Matcha.
But that is interesting, Will, because I know a lot of kind of the other exchange, it's like there may be something you want to trade and it's not listed.
For the centralized exchanges,
and yeah,
especially. Yeah.
And there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So allowing people, I think what's really exciting about this is kind of allows for kind of neat innovation and experimentation. Like communities can create little, experimental tokens within their friend group, and it might just be like 20 people that care about it, but you'll be able to find it on Matcha, and you'll be able to trade it, and you can just shoot off a link to someone and make it easy to access.
Amazing. Well, that's fantastic. So I want to jump in. We did ask on Warpcast for questions, and we did get a few. And this one is first from @Linda. What were the most challenging parts about building the new pricing engine?
Yeah, well, the most challenging parts of building it were handled by my valued teammates, my esteemed colleagues. I didn't necessarily handle the most technically challenging pieces of it, but there are a lot of challenges, and what comes to mind for me at least is building out an entire tech stack from top to bottom was very challenging from like a team and organization coordination standpoint. So we not only had to have these really well-crafted, battle-tested, security audited smart contracts, we also had to build the APIs that plug into those smart contracts. We had to build the actual routing engine itself, which is going and sampling hundreds of liquidity pools and going through tens of thousands of price data points and figuring out how to find the optimal route, then exposing that through an API, and then integrating it into Matcha and creating like a user experience, a user journey around that new piece of technology. And so coordinating all those pieces together, at least from my standpoint, like that was really challenging. We have like 25 engineers. We have, data team, and getting everyone to work together towards this single goal was a really big accomplishment, and the team crushed it. So yeah, I think that's something that I'm particularly proud of. That was challenging.
Amazing. We got a couple more questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to Adrienne for her fun ones. This was from, oops, forgot to put it on the screen. That would help. This was from Oxford, our friend. So OXB. Warren, what would you build if you were not working on Matcha and 0x? Good question. Or maybe what would you be pursuing? What might even be a better way to put it.
Yeah. It would probably be like fusion energy, like trying to get fusion energy to be something that exists and is working at scale. I think, yeah, like AI, it's not something I was really thinking about when I was back in university, but yeah, I think like probably two technologies that will have the most global impact on the world are going to be fusion energy, so cheap, basically free energy in unlimited amounts without having to burn fossil fuels, and then having a globally accessible financial system that anyone with an internet connection can plug into. I think it's super important as a kind of like an equalizing force for the world. So for at 0x, we talk about kind of this idea of like the geographic lottery. A lot of your economic opportunity in life kind of boils down to where you were born and the government that you happen to be living under. And that's random, and it's not fair, and it kind of prevents us from realizing a lot of kind of latent human potential. So eliminating this geographic lottery, or at least chipping away at it by creating an open financial system that everyone can plug into, I think is possibly like one of the most important contributions that we could contribute to. And so, yeah, I'm glad that we're working on 0x and Matcha.
That was really interesting. I hadn't thought about the energy perspective, but you're right. So amazing. Love that answer. This is from Carol, our friend Carol, who we just adore from Matcha. What is the most challenging part of combining beautiful interface design and serious tech? What are the trade-offs? Most apps on chain choose one or the other, not both. And I think we can see that from the design itself is amazing. Even just the sync key, which is just, showing you what the trade is doing, is so pretty. It's just pretty. So what were the thoughts there? Why the effort to like make it look so good? And were there any trade-offs in that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are trade-offs. And one of the challenges that oftentimes causes kind of forces you to pick, prioritize one or the over the other is the team that's building Matcha. They're really focused on the customer needs and how to create a compelling user experience, something that feels intuitive and natural. And they're not thinking about the technology; they're thinking about the user experience. And you have to coordinate this with a team that is focused on how do we build the most powerful routing engine to achieve the very best prices, and what are all the different dimensions you have to consider from a tech standpoint. And if these teams are operating in silos, they might have completely different perspectives on what's important and what's an acceptable trade-off. And so getting these teams together and having them kind of iterate and like prototype the systems and kind of figure out where there are rough edges and smooth out those rough edges, like that takes a ton of effort. It is part of why it took such a long time for us to go from beginning this R&D on the new pricing engine to rolling it out in production to thousands of users every day. And we don't want to sacrifice on either. We want users to have an experience that's like very accessible and delightful, but is also extremely powerful under the hood. And the Sankey diagram, I think that's like one of the best ways to kind of demonstrate, the power of what's occurring under the hood. And we want to do both.
Yeah, well done. Very well done. And I think when I think about crypto, I think about the intersection of art and tech. So I think that demonstrates it really well right there with that diagram. We are running a little long, shocker. Adrian, so I'm going to turn it over to you for some quick lightning round questions.
Yeah, Will, we've kept you longer than we said. You have 2 more minutes?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. So we're on we're on Farcaster, which is really a social network. So we got to talk a lot about finances and trading, and that's fun. But we try to keep our show fun and make it social as well. So in Farcaster, we do a lot of URL to IRL pipeline talk and about kind of making friends. So I'm curious, when did you make your first internet friend? When and how was your first kind of person, like the friend you made where it originated on the internet?
That's a great question. I can't say exactly when, but I know through video games. So when I was growing up, kind of like grew up right when home internet was becoming a thing. And I remember playing like Diablo 2 online and like meeting people and interacting with them and actually like trading digital assets in that game. And kind of make friends and acquaintances through online video games.
Do you know how many people have had that same answer?
I was like, that was the answer I was expecting. Yeah, for sure.
And we've had so many guests on, and I think
that was Varun's answer, and I think he said Diablo.
Rish, maybe.
Rish, I think one of them said Diablo. I think it was exactly the same game too. Yeah, somebody. So that's funny.
And we were chatting before this. Yeah, we were chatting a little bit before about kind of how even like making friends, you said, with one of the founders of Coinbase through games and people playing. And just some advice if you're a parent out there and you look at your kid and you're like, get off the video games. Like, it's really good career advice.
Let them play.
Let your kids.
You never know who you're going to meet.
Okay, just saying. don't think any of these, what's the next country you want to visit?
I've been to a lot of countries lately. I just want to be here back at home, and I want some stability because we've been nomading for 4 years now, and I just,
That's
yeah,
long.
I'm a little tired, and I want to just focus
All right.
on building.
That's
So-
fair.
So back in the USA for a little bit.
Yeah, in the US.
Are you concert or sporting event?
I am not much of an outdoor large crowd type of person. I'm more of a like watch like esports competitions or like watch stuff online with like a smaller group of friends kind of person. So I would say I'm neither actually. I'm not like in real life sports or music person.
All right.
Dan
Camping or-
Ramirez's answer to that question was read a book. so yeah, similar, many such cases.
Okay. Camping or hotel?
Camping.
Completionist, yes or no?
Yes.
What is your biggest fear right now?
Ooh, she's getting deep.
I don't know. What is my fear?
Right now, it's answering this question. Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, pretty much that. I don't know.
Not knowing
Yeah,
what to say on a live stream.
yeah, that's it. Unpredictable questions.
Unpredictable questions I was not prepared for. Pretty much my fear at the moment. Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah. I said these are fun. Last thing you bought with crypto. What was the last thing you bought with crypto?
I bought a coffee from the base coffee stand at ECC.
Nice.
It was $2
We bought-
in
yeah.
USDC.
We bought
That's the
base,
most common.
coffee
That's the most common answer to that
at
question.
Farcon.
Is coffee from Base. So Base out there doing the work to bring consumer crypto to the world, which I appreciate.
All right. Last two. Do you eat a kiwi with the skin on or skin off?
Neither. I don't like fruit most times.
Who are these people who don't eat fruit? Prof doesn't eat fruit, and Dan Romero doesn't eat fruit.
DWR doesn't eat fruit either. Okay, we're bringing Will. Will's in the camp. He's with
You
us.
all can die of scurvy. Have fun. Okay. How do we get you? Last question. How do we get you more active on Farcaster?
Good question.
I think I need to find my community. I need to sub to more channels.
Yes.
I did.
What channels are you in?
I'm in the food channel. I'm in the esports channel. Last time I checked out the food channel, I was scrolling it for like an hour, just looking at all the delicious foods.
Ooh, you got to
and
check
some
out
foods-
Galazio's Kitchen. We now have a little. There's a cooking show happening in the food channel. Galazio's
Oh.
Kitchen.
Oh, no way.
Check
Okay,
that out.
I'll have to
Yeah,
check it out.
follow Galazio. Yeah, she's great.
Galazio.
Really
Okay.
fun.
But what I will note is there was a lot of great looking foods. There was also like Dan's mole, and yeah, I don't know. That seems like kind of a hot button topic, but yeah.
We love the mole. It's provided so much meme fun. I can't even begin to. Yeah, it's been one of the best things that's ever happened. Dan's mole. Thank you so much, Will. I do have to make one more quick thing, and then I want to just give you one last wrap up here. But one quick thing I forgot to mention earlier, we are dropping another Here for the Art piece. That is dropping today to our Hypersub. And Brian Morris, thank you so much. This is the first sneak peek of this piece. If you're familiar with Brian's art, it's always funky, incredible. And I have an amazing interview with him that will drop as well later today. So look for that. Amazing. Thank you, Brian. We'll be back on Monday, and Adrian will be with me. Yay! On Monday. And then I have Tody on Wednesday and I Speak Nerd on Friday. We have lots going on. We're also trying to get Beta Shop on to talk about Moxie. So lots of fun things. Make sure you all go check out the new Matcha V2 engine. Go play around with it. And we did have some people in the chat who did go check it out and were playing around. So there you go. And somebody had said, even for a 0.1 ETH to USDC on base, it combines like 4 sources. That's great. So it's not just for whales, is what was in our chat. So there you go. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. This was a lot of fun, and really looking forward to seeing what else Matcha puts out there. And thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
And anything else, Adrian, before we wrap and close it up?
Happy Friday. That is it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you to all, especially to the chatters. Really fun. And Will, yeah, I'm gonna make sure you see the feedback you're getting on Matcha from the chatters.
Yeah, we'll share all that. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.